Shabbat Shalom. How's everyone doing this evening? Good, good. It is always wonderful to join together in prayer, in celebration, in joy, in restful peace, the restful peace that is Shabbat. As we sing, Ma Yafeh, wrong one. As we will sing Ma Yafeh Hayom because it is a wonderful day, but first we sing Hine Ma Tov, how good it is that we can join together in prayer. Hine Ma Tovu Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tovu Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tovu Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tovu Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. At this time, I would like to welcome up Carla Ramirez to lead us in welcoming the Shabbat lights with the lighting of the candles.
To all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechal ligner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallow us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Carla, and thank you for hosting our oneg this evening. We'll look forward to after the service. Ma Yafeh Hayom Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. As we join together in Lecha Dodi, welcoming the Shabbat spirit into our presence, we sing together joyously and we rise when we reach the final verse of Lecha Dodi and turn to face the entryway of our sacred space Those of you who are joining us remotely, pray with rising and turning at the end of this song towards the entryway of your sacred space this evening, welcoming Shabbat into wherever it is that you pray tonight. Of course, as always, the Talmud tells us if it is difficult to physically rise, one should remain seated while rising in their hearts. We join together now in Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונחה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Seitchem leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom aleichem malachei hasharet malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Yitkadal veyitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala ba'agala u'vizman kariv, ve'emeru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach le'alam ul'al me'al maya yitbarach yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadach ve'yit'ale ve'yithalal Shemei dekudesha berichu le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma ve'imeru Amen. As we rise now for the Barhu, we'll be joined for the beginning prayers of the Barhu by Jack Gerwitz in honor of his becoming Bar Mitzvah in, is it 2 weeks now? Are you feeling excited? I am. We'll begin over here in front of the ark, and when we reach the Shema, I'll have you read that portion. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim v'chochma poteach she'arim u'tvuna meshane itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'mesader et hakochavim mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila. Adonai tzevaot shemo. El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu la'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the season, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo, Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha u'bechol nafshecha u'bechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anohi metzavcha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechteha vaderech, ushokveha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadeha, vehayu letotafot beineneha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tiskeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai, ve'item kedoshim leloehem, Ani Adonai Eloheim Asher Hoseidi ethem Meretz Mitzrayim Lehiot Lahem Lelohim Ani Adonai Eloheim. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohehem Emet.
Yasher Koach. Thanks, Jack. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God on heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then we shall rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Trying to remember the version that Jack taught me. I don't think that it's this one. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh saleh, nora tehilot oseh saleh, malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Umiriam zeili anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. 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 Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing, for you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת דורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We rise now for the Amidah as we stand praying in God's presence. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol Ata, Rav le'hoshia, Mashiv haruach, U'morid hagashem, Mechalkel hayim be'chesed, Mechayeh hakol be'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh holim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, u'mido melach, Melech memit u'mechayeh u'matmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. You may be seated or continue in silent prayer. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, immeru, amen. Ya'ase shalom, ya'ase shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'immeru, amen. Who gets the check at the end of the meal? This is one of those great unanswerable questions for the ages. Am I right? There's always that little dance at the end of a meal. Do you reach for the check? No, it's my treat. Especially if you're out with family or good friends. Some people will insist on paying, while others are just grateful for the free lunch. Of course, you know what they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, the dance gets complicated really quickly when you've got two people who both insist on paying. This happens a lot when I'm out with family. Of course, some people will offer to pick up the check just in order to be polite. Oh my goodness, such a lovely dinner. And don't worry about the check. I've got this one. No, it's my treat. Oh, no. I invited you. I insist on paying. Well, okay, if you insist. I do. All right then, but I'll pay next time. We'll see. Did you ever have a conversation like that? I even know some people who go to extraordinary lengths. I knew someone who would try to sneak money into their kids' pockets to keep them from paying for the meal, sort of like a reverse mugging. I've even seen people strategize in advance and corner the server before or in the middle of the meal, sort of separate from everyone else at the table and pay for everything in advance. But why do we do this? Why do we do that? Have you ever thought about that? I think more than anything else, it's about respect. Paying for a meal can be a sign of humility, and allowing the other person to pay for the meal is a sign of respect. Anyway, that's my theory. I don't know, whatever the case might be. It's interesting that this is not at all a new argument. We find a very similar exchange in this week's Torah portion. Near the beginning of the Parsha, Abraham is looking for a burial plot for his wife, Sarah. She has, by all measure, lived a long and happy life. And he is presently engaged in the mitzvah of laying her body to rest. Quote, he spoke to the Hittites saying, I am a resident alien among you. Tell me a burial site among you that I may remove my dead for burial. And the Hittites replied to Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my Lord, you are the elect of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold a burial place from you. Abraham replies, If it is your wish that I remove my dead for burial, you must agree to intercede from me with Ephron, the son of Zohar. Let him sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns on the edge of his land. Let him sell it to me at the full price for a burial site in our midst. Ephron was present among the Hittites, so he answered Abraham, No, my Lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is on it. In the presence of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham spoke to the people of the land, spoke to Ephron in the hearing of all the people in the land, saying, If only you would hear me out. Let me pay the price of the land. Accept it from me that I may bury my dead there. And Ephron replied to Abraham, saying to him, My Lord, do you hear me? A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Go and bury your dead. Abraham accepted Ephron's terms. Abraham paid out to Ephron the money that he had named. Now, one of the remarkable things about this exchange is the location, the cave of Machpelah, which is a real place that you can visit today. You can go there. It's a large complex, a building that's been standing there for thousands of years. It's a little ways down the street from the downtown Hebron. I've been there, twice in fact. But that's not the only thing that's remarkable about this plot of land. This plot of land where you can go and see the burial site of Sarah, where you can visit the grave not only where Sarah is buried, but also Abraham later, also their children and grandchildren after them. There's a question about whether Abraham purchased this land and insisted on paying full price, whether that was an act of respect for the people there, whether it was simply an exchange of manners, and that he was simply being polite, or rather they were being polite in offering him the plot for free, or if there may be more to the story. Yes, it is a sign of respect that the people offered Abraham this land for free. It's a sign of how well respected he was in his own day. So why did Abraham insist on paying? And not only that, but paying full price. The commentator Ramban, Nachmanides, claims that Abraham was doing shrewd business, that he knew if he accepted the cave for free, that one day he would be expected to purchase the field that the cave was located on, and he might have to pay a higher price. I think that's a little bit of a cynical way to look at it. I think there might be something else going on, and I'm not the first to suggest that Abraham understood how important it was to pay what you owe, especially when it comes to land, and especially when it comes to ensuring a place for the future. That when it comes to the future generations, we owe a clear and unobscured understanding of what was purchased, what is owned, and by whom. This plot of land, this little field, which is now a large stone complex outside of Hebron, is undisputed as the burial site of Abraham. It is undisputed that this is the first purchased land within the land of Israel. We know that Abraham and Sarah came from the land of Haran, far away from the land of Israel, to settle in the land of Israel, in Beersheba. We know that Abraham and Isaac after him established the towns around Beersheba, dug the wells, and built up the pastures and the cities of the Arava, the south of Israel, where Hebron is located. But this is the first record we have of Abraham making a purchase of land. In essence, this is the first land deed in the land of Israel that we find. Israel is perhaps unique among the nations of the world. And here I'm speaking of the modern state of Israel, because it is the only nation in the world in which the land was bought and paid for before the state was established. Every other nation in history, every nation that I can think of, was established through conquering or through settlement, through staking a claim and then defending it with military strength. And yet the state of Israel, we know the first settlers who came there as part of the movement to establish a state who joined the Jews who had already been living in the land of Israel for thousands of years. It was important that every piece of land of that first aliyah and the second aliyah, which came after, was purchased, that the land was legitimately owned, that it was unobscured and unambiguous, that this land belonged to the people living on it today. Just as Abraham established his legacy for his children by purchasing this land and having a clear deed to the land, the state of Israel was established in a similar way. And yet we know that the land of Israel is still disputed today. And indeed, the cave of Machpelah and the field of Machpelah in the land of Israel, just outside of the city of Hebron, is disputed today. It is a remarkable place, not just because of its location and its history, but because of its present-day status. It is considered the second holiest site for Jews after the Temple Mount and the Western Wall. And yet, it is a site that we share 365 days a year, divided up between Jews and Muslims who also consider it a holy site. Because remember, Abraham is also their patriarch. Sarah is also their matriarch. This site is still shared under agreement by Jews and Muslims together. It's also a site which, despite this incredible cooperation, is still disputed and argued over, and continues to be the source of argument and sometimes painful resentment. Why did Abraham engage in this particular process to buy the land? Why did he do it publicly? Why did he allow the back and forth discussion? He could have just slipped the 400 shekels into Ephraim's pocket on the way out, right? If it was only about paying. But it was about respect. When it comes to Jews and Muslims in the land of Israel, our argument will not finish until we can respect one another, until we can learn to completely and fully honor each other. On that day, which I know will come, then we can finally sit down as one family, as human beings, as cousins that we are, and we can finally enjoy a meal together in peace and in harmony. I guess the only question will be, who picks up the check? Shabbat Shalom. As always, at this time in our service, we take a moment to say a prayer of healing for all those who are in need of healing. We ask for God to watch over all those who seek peace in the land of Israel and around the world, to guide them and give them strength in their mission. We ask for God to watch over all of those around the world who are suffering in difficult times, whether they are affected by physical or spiritual illness, whether they are affected by natural disaster or acts of violence. We ask for God to watch over them and bring refuah shlema, complete and full healing. We ask for God to watch over all of those who are affected by this global pandemic, which still continues on, even as we begin to hope for recovery, for a complete recovery and complete healing for this world. We ask for God to be with those who are still affected directly or indirectly by this terrible disease. We ask God, as always, to watch over our first responders and members of our armed services. Watch over them as they watch over us. And in particular, we ask for God's healing presence to be with Tal Hazon, Jacob Hazon, Meir Ben Esther, James Dutremaine, Oscar Garcia, Yosef Ben Matilda, Victoria Fishman, Tony Bat Malka, Alan Fishman, Ilan Ben Tchoni, Mike Ginsberg, Norma Einhorn, Patty Landsman, Craig Beckerman, Olga Gabriel, Jeff Gabriel, Candy London, Teresa Alma Thomas Paredes, Alma Gonzalez, Rachel Dworska Batchana Rivka, and Diana Garcia, and Angela Winehouse. If you are praying for healing for anyone within your circle of concern, please share their name now as I look towards you. You may also post their name in the chat or speak their name aloud or in your heart, and God will hear. As always, if you know of any names that should be included on our list of public prayers so that we may pray for healing together, please contact myself or the office during the week so we may include their names next week. As we join together now in the Mishaberach Lecholim. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May God's healing presence come swiftly and soon to all those who are in need of healing, as we say, Amen. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and in spirit. Amen. Avinu Shabashamayim Tzur Yisrael V'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. We rise now as we enter the concluding portion of our service, beginning with the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. There are stars up above, so far away that we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. At this time, we remember all of those in our own community who have died in recent days, including Lillian Thomas, as well as all those who have died in the past year, including John Brown, Dora Goldberg Friedman, Tzipora Bat Avraham, Lionel Getz, Labesh Yehuda Ben Pinchas, Lenora Nodi Pearson Gent, Dr. Marco Antonio Treu Ruiseco, Michelle Bernstein, Juanita Schraber Kaufman, Stuart Klein, Larry Allen Weiner, Michael Kratowski, Vicente Navarro, Jose Luis Trujillo Jimenez, as well as those whose yahrzeits occur this Shabbat, the anniversary of their death, including Jacobo Fishman and Horatio Eduardo Lipkin. If you are in a period of mourning now or remembering a loved one, please rise and share their name as I look towards you. You may also say their name aloud or in your heart, and God will hear. If it is your custom to stand with those who mourn, please rise now for the Chodesh. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'ala u'bizman kariv v'imaru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol v'yachata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram da'alma v'imeru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. And we do have a few announcements this evening. Welcome. If you are planning to attend services in person, please keep the following in mind. Anyone who is experiencing symptoms or has been recently exposed to COVID-19 should attend Shabbat services online. In accordance with current local and national guidance, wearing a mask is encouraged in the Temple Emanuel building. Please continue to take sensible precautions to protect yourself and others. Please follow all posted guidelines and announcements. If you are attending services remotely, you can let us know how we're doing during or after services by posting in the chat of whichever program you are using. We monitor and respond to these messages during services as needed. Coming up tomorrow morning, or coming up right now after the service, we do have an oneg. We are very grateful that we are finally at a point in this past 2 years that we are able to join together and enjoy food safely with minimal risk as we celebrate together, and we'll say Kiddush and Motzi in the social hall after the service when we reach there. Tomorrow morning, we will be joining once again for Torah study at 9 a.m. That is, Torah study is available only online by Zoom or Discord. And that will be followed on tomorrow morning by Saturday morning Torah services, which begin at 10:30 in the morning. Those are available online, streaming, or in person here in the sanctuary. And all services are followed by an oneg or an oneg social on Zoom. Our Introduction to Judaism course for this year, 5782, will continue this Monday. That'll be November 1st. Can you believe it's already November? Starting at 6:30. Beginners Hebrew weekly classes continue this Thursday at 7:30. I hope to see you all there. Also, this Thursday, we're very excited to have our Rosh Chodesh book club, which will be meeting what time? Be meeting at 6:30 in the social hall. That is every month, every Rosh Chodesh, we join together in a celebration. Rosh Chodesh has an ancient history of great celebration for the Jewish people. Each new month is a new holiday and a new chance to celebrate, and in particular, it has been and has become even more so a holiday of great significance for women. each month. So it is appropriate that we join together. You don't have to be a woman to join the book club. It is open to all. We are happy to have anyone who would like to join. In fact, you don't even really need to read the book. I hope I'm not giving away a big secret. But it is a wonderful experience to come together, to celebrate, to reflect in a contemporary way about contemporary and ancient Jewish writings. This book club is a perfect intersection of ancient and modern, as modern rabbis comment on our ancient psalms in the book that we are continuing to discuss this month. In general announcements, Green Family Camp registration is now open. Now for summer of 2022, I know it feels like the school year is just starting, but it is going to be summer before you know it. And if you register now before November 12th, you are eligible for early bird pricing. The last year's prices, or this year's camp at last year's rates. Okay. If you are interested in joining the hospitality committee, we need individuals who are welcoming in their personality, who are able to help host and plan and treat all of our guests as our synagogue is opening up, and we are expecting to have out-of-town scholars and musicians coming in. We want to make sure that we show them the full force of our famous Rio Grande Valley hospitality, welcoming them and making them feel welcome and special in our community. If you're interested in that, please contact Sandy Twill. If you are interested in leading services, I hope I'm not going to get in trouble with Linda for sharing the dates, but we have now scheduled the arrival of our son for the 19th of November, which we are very excited for. Barring anything unforeseen, that's when we will be welcoming a brand new baby Farb into the world. Following that, if you would like to help out by leading services beginning, that is a Friday, beginning November 19th, please be in contact with me. The training is not difficult if you're familiar with services and you're familiar with leading services. Adding in this thing really is not that complicated. It's a short training that you can come in with me. Luckily, we have Amadeus and the Dutremains who make the job really easy for anyone leading services. And I do want to say a special thank you to, once again, Carla, our host for the evening, for the Oneg. And Amadeus, did you bring challah this week? We have chalot, courtesy of Amadeus. It really is one of the highlights of my week. So thank you for providing joy in this season. Our closing song, why don't we change it up and do Ein Keloheinu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshi'enu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Chadonenu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshi'enu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Elamoshi'enu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshi'enu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshi'enu. Shabbat Shalom. If you're here in person, please join us for the Oneg next door. If you're online, I hope you'll stick around and say hello, chat with one another for an Oneg social. For everybody, Shabbat Shalom.